electability, I'm not really feeling it for him. I'm not getting that out of John Kasich. The whole electability thing just isn't there for me. Sorry. He might be the best president on the face of the earth, but that doesn't mean he's going to get voted for. That's the thing. And that's the sad thing about American politics and really any politics. Like we like to talk about how bad American politics are. Look at Britain. In Parliament, they can yell at each other and they throw things around. In Canada, the prime minister apparently had, I don't want to say fisticuffs. I don't want to be libelous, but there was some sort of, I'm not sure if it's an altercation or just an engagement of some kind, but apparently the Canadian prime minister has gotten a lot of hot water for some actions he took, allegedly, in Canadian Parliament. So we talk about how bad it is here. Nobody's punching each other, as far as I know. The last time there was a duel was a long time ago. It's just not it's not that bad here when it comes to the actual public side of politics. It's the private side you got to be worried about. And that's how it is with every country. We like to talk about how bad it is here. It's really not. It's like, man, I bet it was better in Soviet Russia. It really wasn't. It was just as bad as they talked about there. And it's not that bad here yet. We've not gotten there yet. We've got a lot of police state stuff going on, especially surveillance state stuff going on, particularly if you want to look at Chattanooga. Actually, Mayor Andy Burke is wanting to put surveillance cameras in high crime neighborhoods. Now, I don't know if that's going to be 24/7. We're always watching you 1984 type of surveillance cameras. And you could argue that if you're walking on the street, you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Like I can photograph you if you're walking down the street and there's not really anything that can be done about it because you don't have any reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, if you're in a car, it might be a little bit different. So, yeah, is there a legal basis for surveillance cameras? Maybe. Is it necessarily the right thing to do? Possibly not. Because there's a difference between legal and the right thing to do. Because, again, in a lot of states, it's legal to euthanize somebody. Does that mean that it's necessarily the right thing to do? I don't know. That's a complex argument. Well, the LA Times, and I don't want to plug them too much, but has a letter to the editor. Now, again, this is not, as far as I know, the official position of the LA Times, but it's kind of an odd op-ed anyway. A letter to the editor saying, I think the GOP will survive either Donald Trump or yet another lying Clinton presidency. So Trump is a Class A Reno, they say, Republican in name only, who has hijacked my party, he says. He is either knowingly or unknowingly working for the Democrats, and I applaud any effort to make sure he loses spectacularly. I'm not, I don't read into this particular aspect of his election too much, his campaign too much. I haven't seen an immense amount of evidence that says he's working for the Democratic Party. And again, I'm open to any suggestion that he might be. I'm open to any sort of evidence you might provide that says that Donald Trump is working for the Democratic Party. But right now, I don't really see that. If you can show it to me, I'll look at it and I'll scrutinize it and I might even agree with you. But I'm not seeing it right now. You'd have to present some evidence here. So this guy says for the LA Times, probably the best remedy against another similar hijacking would be to determine the nomination based on which candidate is highest in the polls rather than who can garner the most delegates. But don't you want to get elected? If that were the standard used today, Ohio Governor John Kasich would most probably be the presumptive candidate, and the GOP would be on track to win in a landslide in November. But again, John Kasich is a politician, and Clinton is a politician. So when they debate, it's going to be politician versus politician, which means you're not going to get questions answered. You're not going to have any sort of hard-hitting statements. It's just going to be politician v. politician like every other presidential election in the history of the world. Watching Jeopardy last night. Funny story. I really like Jeopardy. And I actually think Jeopardy is one of the better shows on TV right about now. Because I like trivia. I like testing my knowledge. And actually, Tex, who used to do Cowboy Up with Tex here on Hot News Talk Radio, is also a avid Jeopardy fan. And he's probably way better at it than I am. But I'm always proud of my knowledge. Not haughty about it, but I'm proud of my trivia knowledge and history knowledge when it comes to stuff on Jeopardy. And one of the clues was this particular guy during a debate said, I knew Jack Kennedy, and you, sir, are not Jack Kennedy. And that's a hard-hitting statement, and that's something you're not going to get out of politics today. You're just not, unless you have someone who's actually not really a politician. And even that hard-hitting statement, in the 80s wasn't that hard-hitting. You're not getting harsh words out of much of anyone. Even like even what's his name, Ted Cruz, as much as I agreed with a lot of the stuff he said, he didn't really come across as somebody who could really take down Clinton to me, because Clinton is she's like a mobster, like she's got people backing her. It's not really her herself you have to be afraid of. It's people who are on her side. It's kind of like you see a mafia don walking down the street, and he's a bit overweight. He's kind of older. You wouldn't have a problem beating up Marlon Brando in The Godfather. You know what I mean? But the people backing him are the people you got to be worried about. And I think that's the case with really most political candidates. It's not really Hillary Clinton you have to be worried about. It's people who are backing her that you have to be worried about. And of course, the people who she's going to be repping when she gets in office, if she gets in office, I should say, because I don't know who's going to get in office. I think if it is indeed Trump nomination, which seems to be the case, and there's an election, I can't imagine he wouldn't win with how much dirt there would be on Hillary. But dirty elections have happened before. It's not like she can't cheat her way in, or it's not like he couldn't cheat his way in. It could go either way. So I don't know. The whole election is going to be a big old mess, that's for sure. Number to call in, 423-800-8949. I got on a little bit of a tangent there talking about the election because it's something that is really fascinating to me. Modern politics especially are really fascinating to me because this form of politicking is brand new. The way that Trump is running his campaign is a way that no other candidate, as far as I know, has ever run his campaign, using the internet as a resource, having people on the internet who are willing to lay down their reputations to support him. It's fascinating. It's really interesting. And Clinton is campaigning in a really old school way. Now, Sanders is pretty new school with his campaigning too, but I think it's more by accident than it is by his own will, by his own try. And I will say about Sanders, by the way, that we've said this at the office before. I don't think Sanders has bad intentions like I think Clinton does. I really do believe Clinton is kind of not a good person. I'll put it that way. I don't think Clinton's a very good person. But I don't think, like, when I look at Bernie Sanders, I don't think of him as like an evil guy. Now, he supports abortion, so I can't imagine he's a very good guy. But I don't think he has like evil intentions or anything like that. So, at least with him, you can say, yeah, he's doing what he thinks is right. With Clinton, you look at her and you say, she's kind of like a snake in the grass. And I'm not sure what I'm feeling out when it comes to Trump. Like, I think he is extremely smart. I think he's got a lot of genius going on. But I don't know. We'll have to see, because this isn't even the general election yet. They're not even campaigning for the general. You haven't had a Democrat versus Republican debate yet. So trying to call it this early is probably really premature. But we'll keep following the election and we'll let you know what goes on, particularly on the local side. Bob Corker has actually been pointed at possible vice presidential candidate, which would certainly be interesting. It'd be interesting to get both a Chattanoogan and a Tennessee boy in the vice presidential office. It'd be about time we got another Southerner in there. Could it be a Southern takeover? Hey, why not, right? We're pretty smart people, I think, here in the South. We tend to be pretty moral people too. So, Southern takeover of the White House or of Washington. Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. The number 3-800-8949. Number to call in is 423-800-8949 if you want to talk about, well, anything. HotNewsTalkRadio.com, Twitter, Facebook, TuneIn Radio. We're also on the weather. We're also on top of the weather. Bloom Sky is the app you should get. Search for Hot News Talk Radio, and you can listen, or not listen, you can actually watch the weather streaming live to your phone on the Bloom Sky app. Very interesting stuff, very cool stuff. Here's kind of it's hard to tell with stuff like this because you don't know what to think about it. But this is an article that Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter shared, and I'm not the guy who runs the Hot News Talk Radio Twitter, by the way. So there's an amalgam of angry people who run the Hot News Talk Radio Twitter. And this story is from the World News Daily Report. Now, I have no idea how reputable the World News Daily Report is, but here it is. Yoko Ono apparently, I can't confirm this, apparently says that she had an affair with Hillary Clinton at some point. Now, again, I don't know if that's true, and I have my doubts. But listen, it was the 70s, and it was Yoko Ono, and it was allegedly Hillary Clinton. And look, it's the 70s. Everyone was nuts in the 70s. The 70s is one of the strangest times in American history next to the 60s. but it's just, gosh. So the artist and, of course, the widow of John Lennon, who was famously assassinated in 1980, who was in Los Angeles, or was at the time of writing, to present a collection of cups and saucers she's exhibiting at the Museum of Modern Art. I assume they're special cups and saucers and not just cups and saucers owned by Yoko Ono. Totally took reporters by surprise by admitting that she had not only met the former First Lady at various times during a series of protests against the Vietnam War in New York in the 1970s, but also she says, according to the article, she knew her intimately. The celebrity admitted laughingly to having a fling with her at a time and acknowledged her election would be a great advancement for LGBT and women's rights in America, she added. And the article goes on. We don't have time to read the whole dang thing, but would you be surprised to discover that Clinton had maybe a bit of a fling with Yoko Ono? I wouldn't be. And I don't think that it would really hurt her election either, because people read that like me and just sort of go, okay. You know, like I don't really see that as I see it as a big deal, but I don't see that as a campaign killing big deal, because people who are going to vote for her probably aren't going to care about that, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, on our Hot News Talk Radio Twitter account, also it was tweeted, going to be nice having the lunatic Democrats out of the White House next year. The adults will be back in charge. Never vote for a Dem or for a Rhino, Republican in name only. Is it Rhino or Rhino? I'm assuming it's Rhino because it's spelled like Rhino just without the H. So I'm going to assume that it's Rhino and hope that it is, unless it's Reno, in which case it's like Nevada. I don't know. Donald Trump, by the way, has unveiled his list of potential picks for the Supreme Court seat like he said he would. I was listening to the radio coming up from Florida, by the way, and hearing Hot News Talk Radio loud and clear over the internet. And that's how I first heard about this. And it's really great, actually. I love being able to listen to Hot News Talk Radio, even when I'm not in Chattanooga, because I want to stay on top of what's going on in the city and what's going on nationally. And I really do believe that CBS News is one of the best ways to hear what's happening in the world on the radio. CBS Radio News is, in my belief, the best radio news you can get on the national side. It's actually really, really good, and it's been going for forever. It's such a nice, hard-hitting news lineup. They sound good. They're not particularly biased, I've noticed. They just tend to report things that happen, and, not bad at all. So CBS Radio News was reporting about this, too, that presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, and remember, he's not the official nominee yet, on Wednesday released a list of 11 potential picks to replace Antonin Scalia on the U.S. Supreme Court, a mix of federal and state judges that appeared tailored to win over conservatives still skeptical of his candidacy. But you know what? He's what you've got, is the thing. And he said he released the list, and he did. And there are quite a few people who are on the list whom you might be interested in, actually, depending on your take. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, a Republican who has refused to hold a hearing to consider Garland's appointment to the High Court, said that Trump has laid out a impressive list of highly qualified jurists. So maybe we've got something here with a potential appointee. So the Republicans in the Congress are currently stalling any form of appointment that President Obama may have for the Supreme Court, and they can do that. I'm not really for it or against it. I guess I'm for their blocking, because I'm sure the president wouldn't pick someone whom I would like. So, yeah, they can do that. And people keep clamoring about how the president has a constitutional right / duty to appoint someone to the Supreme Court. And yes, he can. But the Congress can also block that, because they can. That's something that happens in American politics. It's something that happens in general politics. It's what happens. And we have to face facts that politics are messed up. And we're here to try to make some sense of them a little bit, maybe. We're going to talk about Nashville, get a little bit more local here in Chattanooga in a few minutes here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com. Don't forget the number to call in, 423-800-8949. We'll talk about Nashville in a few seconds here.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 5 Guys Burgers and Fries 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest. All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, 153 in Hickson, featuring the juiciest 100% all beef, have it your way hamburgers and the most delicious milkshakes in town. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Wimpy's Restaurant in Soddy Daisy across from City Hall. Les's Pawn Shop, 4742 Highway 58, Chattanooga. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson. Enter your guesses now and listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR.
Are you heading out of town for vacation? Worried about theft? Worried about sticky fingers? Get peace of mind from Les's Pawn Shop. Store your guns, jewelry, flat screens, even game systems in its secure building on Highway 58. Here's how it works. Borrow a small sum at pawn and put up for collateral your weapons. They're all itemized, they're stored, and when you come back, you redeem the pawn and get your arsenal back in your personal custody, all for just a few bucks. You need cash all of a sudden? Pawn your belongings at their full pawn value and have a sizable sum to spend for life's emergencies. New customers mention this ad and receive the first month's pawn interest-free. Visit us at Les's Pawn Shop on Facebook. Stop in anytime. Call 702-5868. That's 702-5868.
Shake, shake, shake it at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. The most delicious and unique milkshakes. How about this for delicious and different? Add freshly cooked bacon to any milkshake.
Is that even legal?
You bet your milkshake and booty it is. Chocolate caramel bacon shake. Coffee caramel shake. All hand blended. Shake, shake, shake it. Down at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Just about any flavor shake that you can imagine. And they are delicious. Get your shake, shake, shake on at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Five Guys Burgers and Fries, located in Hickson at North Point. Gun Barrel at the Walmart Center. Downtown 4th and Broad. And in Cleveland at Keith and Stewart.
Shake, shake, shake.
MLS 2239. What would you do with all that cash? Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips here, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. $1,200. That's how much we just put back in a Soddy Daisy family's pocket per month. All they did was pick up the phone. 805-9100. That's 805-9100. Get that quick quote now. 805-9100. HomeRateMortgage.com. MLS 2239. Do you want to achieve the American dream in 2016? Listen up, y'all. I'm Ben Phillips with Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. We just helped a police officer purchase his first home in East Brainerd. Now he's grilling and chilling on his back deck. The American dream. You could achieve it with no money down options. Why wouldn't you call? 805-9100, HomeRateMortgage.com.
Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community, offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Hot
News Talk 1240. Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. The Chattanooga police say that a person was shot on Hickory Street Thursday afternoon. The call came in at 5:40 p.m. They did locate one victim, 27-year-old Jermichael Baker, suffering from a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Hamilton County EMS treated him and took him to the hospital. Officers are still unable to find a confirmed crime scene. They're asking for your help. If you know what happened, call 423-698-2525. The Ironman is hosted in Chattanooga this weekend, and lots of roads are going to be closed. Check out our Facebook page for more information and a complete map of the road closures. The Hamilton County School Board has voted for some fund allocation going towards repairs for school stadiums at East Ridge, Tyner and Howard, and Ottawa, Lookout Valley, Hickson, and CSAS. No timetable has been given, but $913,600 is going to be allocated towards these repairs. One football stadium in particular needs a lot of help. It has sewage that goes onto the field when it floods, and East Ridge has homeside condemned bleachers. It's going on in the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I took an all too brief trip to Florida last week. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. And noticed something that was kind of cool, actually. We were driving down, and we opened up the YouTube app on our phone, and we were actually watching over 3G or 4G LTE. We were watching over 4G on the YouTube app, streaming live. We were watching Clutch with Keon Rose, streaming all the way down the highway, and we were going on 75 south towards Florida, and I'm sure you've driven that before, well past the bad part of Atlanta, where you can't drive anywhere. We were all the way down near, I'm going to say, Valdosta, where cell service is not particularly great, and we were actually watching Keon live on our smartphones on the YouTube app, and we may or may not have called him to mess with him. And so you could actually watch us live on YouTube right now. Go to the YouTube app, search for Hot News Talk Radio, go to our channel, and then click on the latest video that's probably streaming live. It should say live now, and you'll be able to see me in my Led Zeppelin shirt standing here talking into a microphone, which it's not really there necessarily just so you can watch. It's there so you can listen too, because the audio sounds just as good on YouTube as it does on the website, hotnewstalkradio.com, and on the TuneIn Radio app. That's Hot News Talk Radio on the TuneIn Radio app. So be sure to check that out. That's TuneIn Radio. You can listen to us streaming live. Number to call in, 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. This is Best Shot. This is your show. We talk about a little bit of politics, talk about what's going on Twitter on Hot News Talk Radio, and we talk about what's going on locally here as well. Don't forget the Ironman is happening now. Well, soon, actually. It kicks off at 12 with a kids race. Not sure what the age group is for that, but downtown is going to be a bit of a mess this afternoon and tomorrow as well, and Sunday, even into Sunday. So this weekend, while it's going to be a great weekend for going downtown, particularly Saturday, because it's not going to be raining, hopefully Saturday afternoon, you might want to be careful. It's going to be blocked at a few different locations. We've posted a map on our Facebook page that the Chattanooga Department of Transportation has put out, so you should be able to see what roads are blocked. They've actually highlighted in green the best route that you can take, or route, I should say, it's French, the best route you can take through the city. So hopefully that helps you out. And I was actually going to go see a movie at the Majestic 12, either Saturday or tonight. I'm not sure which yet. Working that out with the person I'm going with. So, yeah, I might be a little bit stuck depending on how it goes. We may just go and watch the Ironman, honestly, because that's fun too, especially in the rain, because I actually like rain a lot, which is nice for this kind of weather. And next week too, where it's going to be raining quite a lot. Why are we talking about rain? Because it's happening in Chattanooga right now. Looking out the window, I can see quite a bit of rain on the cars trickling down the windshields. I just think it's really beautiful, honestly. I just think that's a really nice thing to look at. Some people think it's gloomy. I think it's really cheerful, actually, because it's what gives the plants life, and the plants need life so that we can have oxygen, so that we don't breathe in nothing but CO2 and die. So, yeah, I actually like it quite a lot. Anyway, so Mark Zuckerberg, who is the, of course, CEO of Facebook, met with quite a few different people in Silicon Valley. And, well, Breitbart came out with a really long article that's really blasting the move. And the writer of the article is, if I can find it, Milo, of course. Why not? He says, I'm sure it wasn't these conservative figures' intent merely to assist in Facebook's marketing efforts, but at this point, if maliciousness is ruled out as a motivation, extreme stupidity is the only possible remaining explanation. Wow. So yeah, lots of people went. What's her name? Perino went as well. She's of course the former press secretary for the president. Was she press secretary? No, she was the other secretary. Was she the speaker? No, I don't recall actually what Dana Perino did. I can see her in that era, and I think she wasn't press secretary. She was something else. Anyway, she wasn't Secretary of State either. That was the other guy, Colin Powell. But anyway, you get the idea. She was there. She's a pretty prominent figurehead. I believe SC Cup was there as well, which is funny because she was just on Jeopardy in Philly or DC. So I don't know how she went from Silicon Valley to Philly so quickly. But anyway, she was there. Glenn Beck was there. Quite a few other people. I don't want to plug too many people because a lot of them were actually radio show hosts. So a lot of people were there. I don't think Hannity went. Mike Gallagher didn't actually go because he was talking about how he didn't get to go. So Mike Gallagher needs more respect, by the way. I think he's a great guy, really cheerful guy. I like that in talk radio. I think Gallagher's a good guy. I don't agree with him on everything, obviously. Nobody does, but I think he's a good guy. So check out Gallagher. He's on. Actually, he's normally on right now. He's on from 9 until 12 here on Hot News Talk Radio. So be sure to check him out, Mike Gallagher on the Mike Gallagher Show. He's a good guy. He doesn't get into the whole name-calling thing, which I really like about him. Overall, good guy. Coming up after me is Colin Cowherd here on Hot News Talk Radio. If you like sports, if you like psychology, if you like hearing about culture, check out not Clutch, darn it. That's the other show. Check out The Herd with Colin Cowherd. I always get him mixed up, which I guess is a compliment to Keon. Anyway, Eric Bowling let this attitude slip on a broadcast of the 5 where he congratulated Fox pundit Dana Perino on the fantastic honor being invited to the meeting at Facebook, a meeting where Facebook refuses to admit that they did anything wrong, held purely to make the company look good, maybe. So the deal was Facebook has been accused of censoring conservative articles and so on and so forth. I've not personally seen evidence of that. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I've not personally seen it. It certainly is possible. I just haven't seen it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means I've not witnessed it with my own eyes. But it wouldn't surprise me. The allegation, though, is that Facebook has been censoring conservative articles from trending on a little sidebar there on the right-hand side of Facebook, which, by the way, you can like Hot News Talk Radio on Facebook, so definitely do that. And the allegation is that they've been censoring conservative articles from getting up there, which is interesting and plausible because you see a lot of Washington Post stuff up there. You'll see some New York Times stuff up there, but you almost never see anything from, again, like Breitbart or other news organizations, which we all know tend to have a rather conservative leaning, like the Daily Beast. You don't really see anything from there. Stuff like that. You don't really see it up there. But does that mean that maybe conservative articles just don't trend as much as liberal ones? That's possible. Does it mean that they're actually being censored by Facebook? That's also possible. Again, I've not seen the direct evidence either way, so I can't say. Facebook is denying the allegations, though, saying it's ridiculous. Mark Zuckerberg came out with a peacekeeping mission, maybe, to meet with some of these conservative pundits and prominent conservative figureheads. Is it a making face sort of move? Probably. Is it just so he doesn't get caught with egg on his face and look like someone who doesn't care about the other side of the political spectrum? Maybe, because we all know Mark Zuckerberg tends to be kind of a liberal-leaning guy, and he can be that. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy for being a liberal-leaning guy, but I'm also not. So meeting with some conservatives, is it just a move to save face? I kind of think so. Is it the wrong thing to do? Not really. But is it obviously a PR move? Yes. I mean, come on. Honestly, if I were invited, I would probably go just so I could meet Mark Zuckerberg and congratulate him on opening up one of the biggest marketing ploys of the 21st century, if not the largest marketing ploy of the 21st century, because that is what it is. Facebook is a genius marketing move because Facebook sells information. Facebook's business is selling information and selling ads. Facebook is a huge ad selling machine and data information gathering machine. And I have to congratulate them on that because it's extremely genius how it works. It's amazing. But most people don't see it as that. Most people see Facebook as a platform where they can share about what latte they had today, which is extremely useful information for coffee companies which sell lattes, by the way. I don't think it's by accident that it's become very popular for people to share images of their Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem like it's an accident. When you do that, you are part of a massive marketing campaign by Starbucks. It's become the popular social media coffee drink. And I'm not going to say that I'm not part of it because I just had one. Like I'm not against marketing by any means. I'm not against the market or advertising or capitalism by any means. But you should be aware of what's going on around you. Weird stuff happens with marketing. It's one of the strangest businesses you can get into. And it's also very interesting, and it really deals with psychology quite a lot. And what better platform to study individual psychology or groupthink or what people buy than Facebook? It's basically what it's designed to do. So, yeah, Facebook is a huge, huge ad selling agency, essentially. That's basically what it is. It gathers information, sells that information, and sells ads. It's genius. And this sounds super edgy, but you are the product. Same goes for Twitter, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. Twitter's not, might soon be, though. Tumblr, which is owned by Yahoo. Again, massive marketing effort, which is funny because a lot of the people on Tumblr tend to be anti-capitalist, and yet they're on a massive marketing capitalist endeavor called Tumblr. Doesn't make sense to me, but, they're dumb kids. What do they know? Which is funny because half of them are older than me, but, that's how it is. It's just stupid to me. You've got people who are, I'm against capitalism. Here's my iPhone and my iPad and my MacBook. Come on. You're using stuff like, I'm fighting the system from within the system. Yeah, right, buddy. You're not going to be, if you took away capitalism, trust me, you'd be at a breadline right now, because that's how it always ends up. Capitalism or communism's never really been tried. My specific flavor of communism's never been tried. Okay, right. Bernie Sanders is obviously the light and the way, and we should make college free too, I suppose, because, college doesn't cost anything. And we'll raise our taxes to make it harder on everybody. It's ridiculous. This is interesting, too, that's been posted on our Twitter account. The articles from the AP saying middle class is shrinking in 9 out of 10 U.S. cities as incomes are falling. Maybe because corporations are being taxed out the wazoo, as are individuals, and maybe the economy is actually not recovering. I know that's a shocking thing to say, but maybe the economy is not recovering. We're just all poorer than we thought that we were. Think about it. $30,000 back in the 60s was a lot of money. My grandfather made $30,000 working for RCA as a television repairman. He's a television technician for RCA in Michigan. And then he moved to Louisiana. And he made $30,000 doing that. $30,000 in the 1960s and 1970s was a lot of money. That's over $100,000 in today dollars. That's a lot of money. So yeah, $30,000 back then, you could live off of that easily. You were riding high. You were upper middle class. Not bad. But now $30,000 is like nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. You can't afford to live barely on $30,000, much less have 3 kids or 2 kids even. Trust me, I've been there. My dad was making that. And we were, we didn't live so great for a lot of the time. We were poor growing up. And that's just how it was, because 2008, the recession hit. We lost a lot of money. Lots of people lost a lot of money. I don't want to out my parents too much because it's their business, not mine. But, that's how it was. Lots of people lost a lot of money in the recession, and we haven't really recovered. Some people have made it, but some people haven't. And what if you're somebody who's growing up or getting out of college right about now, and the economy's crap, the job market's also bad, and most small businesses are going to fail? That's just the nature of small business. It's not a downer. That's just how businesses work. A lot of them fail. Most of them do. So what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to be optimistic about that? There's not a whole lot of optimism to be had here. So I don't know how anyone can say, well, we're in recovery. I'm just not seeing it because, again, inflation is going crazy. Our money's not worth basically anything, but at least we're not Canada, I guess you could say. At least on the bright side, we're not Canada because their currency is worth next to nothing and import rates are crazy. There's like $10 for a carton of eggs in Canada, for heaven's sake. Up in Alberta, things are even worse because you got the oil fires going on. Their economy's going down. They sold off their gold reserves for some reason. So at least you could say we aren't Canada. So congratulations to the United States. We are not Canada. But I was wondering, what classifies as middle class anyway nowadays? So I looked it up. A trusty website that talks about money.usnews.com. And I wondered, what is the median income household income in the United States anyway? What classifies you as middle class? And how do we work that out? Because I hope this is adjusted for inflation. But anyway, the median household income right now in the United States well, actually, as of 2012 in the United States, is $50,054, which is the lowest since it had been in 1996, and it's down 1.5% in 2010. The median household income, I should have looked that up, in 2016. Well, let's find out, because we have a trusty research tool at our fingertips called Google. All we got to do is median household income 2016. Of course, the year's not over yet, but 2016. All right, the real median household income as of March, according to advisorperspectives.com. Let's try to find out this information. So, things are not looking so great right about now. And plus, currency isn't worth nearly as much as it used to be. Here's a shocking thing about currency. Let's think about this. Let's think about your money, your U.S. dollars that are in your pocket, in your wallet right now. You might not even have any, by the way. You might not even have any physical money on you, because a lot of us put it in our bank accounts, which, is not really any bad or any worse than having it in paper, because they both represent the same nonsense anyway. But let's think about this. Imagine you have a dollar bill in 1969. That dollar bill's worth a lot of dollar bills today. I mean, a lot of dollar bills today. So what if you went to spend that dollar bill, though, today? How much would it be worth? Well, $1. That's the thing. Let's compare 1969, 69 inflation dollar. Here's the thing about inflation. It's really hitting us hard. And it's really not helping us out any either. Like, let's say you had a $100 bill in 1969. And comparing that to 2016, this is funny, that $100 bill in 1969 in today's dollars is worth $666.26. It's the number, it's the dollar of the beast. That $100 bill from 1969 to 2016, adjusted for inflation, is worth $666.26. But what if you tried to spend that $100 bill at a store? How much would it be worth? $100 in today dollars. That's the big theft right there. And that's something that people really don't want to talk about. That's assuming the annual inflation rate of 4.12% or 4.12, because you're not actually supposed to say those as whole numbers. Total inflation rate, 566.27%. How is that not theft? Well, it is theft. Your money's being taken from you, and you don't even notice. It's being leached out of your wallet, and you can't even notice it because it's happening out of our view. It's happening in the computer systems. It's happening at the Federal Reserve. And that's the sort of thing that can get your brake lines cut. So maybe we won't talk about that too much, but look into inflation. Look into it. And answer me this, Batman. How is it not theft? Riddle me this, Batman. How is inflation not theft by the feds? By the Fed, I should say. Because it totally is. There's no way around it. Inflation is killing our money. And our money is not really worth much of anything. It's just worth what they say it's worth. And it's tenuously worth that. So maybe, just maybe, basing it on something would be a good idea, like a silver note or a gold note or bonds or something, anything. Base a dollar on coal, at least to be worth something. But no, instead we're stuck with what we've got, which is a dollar that is constantly being inflated. And that's really, really not a good thing for us, the consumers, or the customers, as I like to say, because consumer sounds like a very barcode thing to say. I know it's accurate, but it sounds like a very barcode thing to say. And I'm not an expert on the money issue either. I'm just a layman who's read into it a little bit and has been made very angry by it since I was really young. It's theft. No two ways about it from you. And the annoying thing is, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it right now. The money issue is a big issue, but it's certainly not the biggest issue in American politics right now. And it's definitely not an issue that's going to be talked about by American politicians right now. That's not going to happen, because too many of them are profiteering off of it anyway. Too many of them have based their businesses off of it anyway. It's constant, systematic theft. But, we can't talk about that too much, because I don't want to get shot. I don't want to fall off of a cliff mysteriously. I don't want my brake lines to get cut. I don't want to get shocked. I don't want a brick to fall from the sky and hit me on the head. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a complicated situation, and it's a little bit... dangerous to speak of. So look it up on your own time, and maybe we can talk about it on Facebook. You can always message us on Facebook, by the way. We always respond. We have a 100% response rate. We're very proud of it. It takes us a little bit sometimes because we're busy over here, but you can actually message us on Facebook. The way to do that is to shoot a message over to Hot News Talk Radio on Facebook, and you can actually chat with us if you want to. Hot News Talk Radio on Facebook. You can call in as well. 423-800-8949 is the number to call in. That's 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio. I told you I'd talk about Nashville, so we'll do it now. I promised it, and I totally forgot about it. Now we're getting back to it. According to the Tennessean in Nashville, Mayor Berry has appointed the state's first transgender city board member. And I might have a little bit of a different view on this than some conservatives may. And I do sometimes consider myself to be a little bit conservative. I think classical liberal would be a lot more accurate, which does not mean modern liberal, by the way. I'm not in the same box as those guys at all. No way. Because, again, I don't support murdering unborn kids. I definitely am not in favor of the federal government making any sort of decision about much of any issue. Classical liberal, libertarian, perhaps minarchist, you might say. There's a lot of labels you could slap on me. I just am what I am. I take it at an individual issue level. So in a week in which transgender issues have been debated nationally, according to the Tennessean, an apparent first for Tennessee occurred on Tuesday when a transgender woman was appointed to a local government commission. This is something that's confused me too, by the way. And I mean no disrespect when I say this, but the phraseology has confused me for a long time. And again, if you're a transgendered person and you're listening, I'm not trying to put you down, but the way that it's phrased confuses me because it says transgender woman. And I'm like, okay, is this someone who now identifies as a woman who's transitioned from man to woman? Or is this a woman who's transitioned to a man and they're referring to that person by their previous identity, saying transgender woman? I'm assuming based on the pictures that this is someone who used to be a man who is now identifying as a woman, I think. I think. Anyway, Nashville's Metro Council on Tuesday confirmed all 20 of Mayor Megan Berry's board nominations and reappointments, including voting unanimously to appoint Marissa Richmond, to the Metro Human Relations Commission. That made Richmond not only the first transgender person in Nashville history to be named to a local government board or commission, but also the first in the entire state, according to the Tennessee Transgender Political Coalition. Her commission term expires in 3 years. Now, let's look at this for a second here. And, I have a moral stance. It's pretty obvious on this. I don't think that it's a good thing to do to be a transgendered person. Is it a damning sin? I don't think so. Is it something that should make you a outcast or a pariah from society? Again, I really don't think so. This is all dependent on your individual behavior, not, what you identify as anyway. I'm friends with, for instance, I'm friends with gay people. It's a classic thing to say, oh, I have plenty of gay friends. No, I really do, though. I have one or two. And you don't think about it after a while because they're not going after me or anything, just like I don't go after all my female friends, And this is going to sound extremely liberal, but let's lay this out. Imagine you've got a bunch of people. One of them is transgendered. You got a bunch of people on your smorgasbord you could choose from to appoint to a position. The most qualified person is the transgendered person. Who are you going to appoint? Now, I could say, well, I don't really want a transgender person on my board. I'm going to appoint the next most qualified person. You could do that, and you're the one appointing people, so you can do that. Or you can say, okay, we'll look past this, and I will appoint, despite my personal views on this, I will appoint the transgender person to this board. It's confusing, and it's something that we are not used to dealing with, especially here in the South. And I'm not saying that to knock Southerners by any means. Being one, I know I don't sound like one, but I actually seriously am. I was born and raised here in the Chattanooga metropolitan area. Born in Erlanger. Live in Georgia, Catoosa County. So I'm Southern through and through. I know it doesn't sound like it, but that's gentrification maybe. That's my upbringing maybe because my mom's from Michigan. Dad's from Louisiana. He doesn't talk much. You know how it goes. And I'm really not trying to suppress any accent. I'm not trained myself out of it or anything like that. I just sound the way I do. I'm not sure why. I kind of wish I did have a bit of a Southern twang because I think that'd be cool. But, that's how it is. It's a complex issue, though, for Christians and for non. It's a complex issue because we're told to treat people with respect. We're told to not hate our brethren, whether they identify as a brother or not. So it's a complicated issue. What do you think about it? Tell us on Facebook. We put a Facebook post up there so you can weigh in on the issue. And all viewpoints are welcome, obviously. We very much support free speech here at Hot News Talk Radio. You can be a flaming liberal. You can be a flaming conservative. You can be somewhere in between, and you have a right to say what you want. We were talking about this the other day. I might not agree with what you say, but I will fight to the death to defend your right to say it, because that's America. That's the Constitution. This is Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.